The Walking Dead is finally ending, and there are only a few episodes left for fans to follow the journey of the show's most beloved characters. As most of the characters on the show have been excellent fighters, it goes without saying that some stand out from the rest. So today, in this video, we're going to rank our top 10 most powerful characters throughout the show's 11 seasons, starting off with number 10, Carol. It's safe to say that no other character in AMC's post-apocalyptic adventure can compare to Carol Peltier's growth in strength. Melissa McBride's character starts as a shy victim of abuse, but she loses everything before becoming one of The Walking Dead's most dangerous and fearsome warriors. And in terms of pure survival, Carol is still the most likely character to make it through the series alive, as her ability to make people like her and her skill as a fighter make her almost impossible to stop. With conviction and hard work, Carol also makes up for what she lacks in size and strength, and she may be the only one in the group willing to do anything to protect the people she cares about. Because of that, she has had to make many hard choices, which has been hard on her gentle mind. Next, at number 9, we have Rick Grimes. Yes, it took him a while to adjust to the new world, but he never looked back once he did. Rick's physically strong and sometimes even a bit bloodthirsty, but as a former sheriff, he can protect his family from their enemies. His morals and good nature held him back at first, which almost cost him and his group their lives. He's smart and cares deeply about his friends and family, and we've seen them do anything for them, even kill others to keep them safe and get rid of as many walkers as he could. And we saw him make way for everyone and give them hope to keep going and live for their families. Quite literally. Rick was also one of the most violent people in the Walking Dead universe, even though he wasn't as solid or well-trained as others. And when things got bad, there was no limit he wouldn't cross, which made him very hard to predict in a fight. Remember when he killed a person by biting out his throat? Followed by Daryl Dixon at number 8. We think it's safe to say that Daryl is a fan favorite, and one of only 2 characters who have been around since the first few episodes. His life was hard before the zombie apocalypse, but he's always been a fighter. Since the first season, Daryl has changed in many ways, but his fighting skills have stayed pretty much the same. And who can forget his trademark motorcycle, a crossbow, and famous leather vest? Daryl can make it on his own, but he has a big heart and thinks of the group as his family, which is why he's considered an essential part of the team. The team would probably be lost without him. Also, he's scary looking and can fight well against most of the show's characters with or without weapons, but once he started working with Rick's group as a team, he had a reason to fight that didn't just involve himself. He also taught others how to fight and hunt, which made him a valuable defender, and as the show goes on, he gets better at fighting, and he's one of the strongest by the end of the series. What's more, at number 7, we have Morgan Jones. At the start of the series, Morgan Jones is a normal dad who wants to protect his son, but when that didn't work, he almost went crazy, and only the kindness of a stranger brought him back from the edge. That stranger was the one who taught Morgan how to fight and gave him a zen-like view of what's essential in life. After that, he promised himself that he would only fight if he had to, and even then he sometimes hesitated. But when staying out of the fight wasn't an option, Morgan would jump right in, and his opponents usually died quickly and brutally. It's safe to say that very few people could fight Morgan and think they would win. Not to mention Abraham Ford at number 6. We remember Abraham always using brute force instead of strategy when fighting, especially compared to other characters, but luckily it always worked out for him. He was intimidating whether facing people or walkers, and his military training and strong mind helped him a lot during the end of the world, but there were pros and cons to his short temper, which pushed him to go all out in a fight. Only a few people could step into the ring with Abraham and expect to come out on top, let alone with all their teeth, and his only real flaw that he was big, which made him less agile. Coming up next, Michonne at number 5. Michonne was strong from the start, gradually letting the others in as time passed. Her badass introduction in the show is still imprinted in our minds. Despite being good with her katana and never leaving her side, she's also a respected leader of Alexandria and a member of the group, and just like her lover Rick, she fiercely protects her loved ones and will do anything to keep them safe. Michonne is easily one of The Walking Dead's best fighters, especially when using her katana. It's safe to think that she's always a threat whether she's fighting walkers or people, and she knows how to use her speed to compensate for her lack of physical strength. Michonne is also a tremendous hand-to-hand fighter, and if a stronger opponent beats her, she'll usually find a way to win, even if it means using dirty tricks. And all of this puts her at number 5 on our list. Now for Paul Jesus Rovia. Number 4. His friends call him Jesus. He's a skilled martial arts fighter who often beats his opponents with his strength. He's reliable and easy to get along with, so it wasn't hard for the group to accept him. Paul Rovia, also known as Jesus, was one of the best fighters The Walking Dead had ever seen. He was very agile. After all, he had done some martial arts training, which gave him a huge advantage over enemies who might have underestimated him because he was so small. Jesus carried supplies, was in a militia, and taught martial arts, and all of these skills helped him protect himself, his family, and his community. They also gave him an edge over his rivals. During a fight, he was able to beat his opponents by making them confused, but a Whisperer killed him in a surprise attack, and we think his death was a tragedy that affected the characters and the fans. Not to forget, at number 3, we have Negan Smith. Negan wasn't always a very violent before the apocalypse, but losing his wife after the end of the world was too much for him. He quickly learned that the world was full of imperfect people who were much more dangerous than zombies, and he promptly toughened himself up for what was to come. Negan's biggest strength is his ability to scare people, but he's also a good fighter. Safe to say he's a wrecking ball against zombies, but he's also a good fighter against the living. But even without his trusty baseball bat, Lucille, Negan can beat some powerful fighters in hand-to-hand combat, which makes him a constant threat. Now, let's look at number 2, Beta. Beta may have been Alpha's second in command in The Walking Dead, but he was the brutal, hulking force of a man with nothing to lose and no connections to hold him back. And as the primary enforcer inside the Whisperers, Beta's job was to carry out Alpha's orders and ensure that everyone stayed true to the same ideas. It's safe to say that he was the equivalent of a military tank in battle, as he had a unique combination of incredible strength and fighting skills that let him tear apart more than one opponent at a time. Hand to hand, Beta was very dangerous, and he could shrug off painful injuries long enough to either strangle or beat his opponents to death. Last but not least, at number 1, we have Mercer. At the end of Season 10, a new character named Mercer is introduced as the leader of the Commonwealth's Legion of Guards. Even though he works for the Miltons and the government, he knows they only look out for themselves. And as the head guard at the Commonwealth, Mercer is an expert in hand-to-hand combat and long-range weapons. This makes him one of the best fighters in the world after the end of the world, and his physical strength and pure brutality give him an edge in any fight, making him a scary opponent for anyone who faces him. That's all for this video. What are your thoughts on this list? Are you going to miss The Walking Dead? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're down there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content in the future. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.